why black men take other black men's lives as well as their own. This is a hard conversation. I shouldn't say hard, but this is a conversation that takes something. It's not for everybody. All right. So if it's potentially triggering. Let's just say it like that. And if you have experienced the loss of a black man through suicide, or the loss of a black man through some kind of violence from another black man, this could be potentially triggering. And I love you enough to say to you, if you have not healed from that loss, do not look at this. Do not watch this. It's not healthy for you. Okay? And I say that with complete love. I do, but I know what I'm about to say. And I'm trying to protect you. Not because what I'm saying is bad, but because you're sensitive. Okay? So please, please, please take care of yourself. Do not watch this if you have not healed from the loss of a black man from suicide or being taken by another black man. I'm telling you up front. Okay? So please, please, please know that that's me trying to protect you. Okay? And I trust your judgment. And that's the best I can do. Okay? Hey, everybody, I'm Dr. Venus. And as you already know, and if you don't know, Twitch boss committed suicide earlier this week, right? A beautiful black man. Celebrity, father of 3, husband, community gatherer of all races, of everybody, right? And he took his life. Now, I did a post about it, and it's still heavy on me, right? It matters to me. And I got some comments from black men. Help me, God. Please help me. Please help me say this beautiful. Who said I was lying about the statistics of black men being the highest number of deaths in America are black men who take their own lives. And I'm like, okay. And I want to address that first. And then I'm going to walk this slow through a series of points that really get up under why. Really, what is it that has black men kill each other and themselves? What is it? And I have some ideas. Okay. So for all the brothers who don't believe, and sisters or people who don't believe the statistics, please go look them up yourself. Don't take my word for it. I'm not trying to be right. Get your own revelation. Okay? I'm not pretending to know everything. Don't really care. But go look it up. And I will say this in your defense. They don't talk about black men killing themselves. Do you understand? That would humanize black men. If you want to keep a person looking like an animal, you will never acknowledge that he is vulnerable enough to feel so much despair that he would take his life. Be very clear. Just because you haven't heard it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Be very clear. There is so much manipulation about how we are fed information about ourselves that I'm not surprised you don't believe the stats. They won't release them. They won't show them. They don't count them. Do you understand? That I need y'all to receive that. I need y'all to stop thinking that the media, news, education is neutral. It's not. I have a PhD from Stanford. Let me assure you, it's not. So when you say it didn't happen or those stats are wrong, you would have to be listening to somebody who's not speaking in your best interest to know you as a human being, black man. So I'm going to get that out the way so we can roll it. Let me hear from y'all. I see you're here, but I don't hear nobody. I need to do something. Let me know. Let me know you hear me. All right. So that's the first thing. I need y'all to understand something. Okay. As people of African ancestry, there is vested interest in black men killing each other and themselves. There's vested interest. There's monetary interest because black men populate the prison industrial complex. So one of the things you have to start to contending with is, okay, no problem. Thanks for listening. One of the things you have to start contending with is, why is it that black men's stats are so scarce? Why is it that why don't they get the same documentation as every other group? Why is it such a surprise that a black man would take his life? And why is it that when a black man takes another black man's life, it's all over the media, all over the world? It is amazing how quickly, if we have a black man kill another black man, it's fodder for news. It's straight up money. It's bank. But if a black man is found dead, it's not necessarily ruled as a suicide. Look it up for yourself. Look it up for yourself. Do not take my word for it. Don't. I'm just helping you understand that if you don't get really interested in understanding why black men kill themselves and each other, you will keep blaming the black man who does. You really will. It's very easy to blame somebody for their humanity when they've been treated and related to as an animal. Okay? So I want to get that done. Next piece. Why black men kill other black men. I want to talk to you about this so you understand something. Okay? And I want to hold it from a historical context as well as a spiritual one. Okay? And I'm only talking about North American chattel slavery. Okay? And the reason I limit there is because I can't speak for every other culture. I can't speak for the diaspora. But if it applies, take it on. All right? Think about, I'm going to go back in history a little bit. Okay? If you think about Nat Turner insurrection in the 1800s, when a group of black men, primarily black men, stood up for themselves. Okay? And the way they stood up was they fought back. And they killed a number of white people. White people got mad and they killed hundreds of black people. And they put in certain laws that made sure that black people couldn't go out after dark, that black people couldn't read, that black people needed a note to leave. All these things to check black men, okay? To keep them from hurting white people because they needed to labor in order to make money, right? Now, one of the things we don't talk about a lot is how they kept black men in check or enslaved black men. Okay? Look it up for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. There's a whole culture around slavery that we don't talk about that you need to understand, which is this. More often than not, in order to save your own self, you had to throw somebody else under the bus. You had to either acquiesce or inflict the pain yourself or agree with it or pretend you didn't see it, okay? And my point is, part of the survival strategy that's rooted in the trauma of North American chattel slavery is really, how can I say this, soft God? I have a right to kill. I have a right to protect myself. I have a right to annihilate, not even check, but annihilate that which has offended me, that which looks like a threat. And what I'm trying to have you understand is, if you live in trauma, you're raised in trauma, you're cultivated in oppression, it doesn't have to make sense for it to be a visceral physiological response. It doesn't have to be. As a child of the streets, there are things that trigger me that make no logical sense, but I know where they came from. Okay? So if a black man feels disrespected, or if a black man feels whatever way he feels, I just want to, don't get caught up on the examples. What I want you to do is get the idea. Because what we have seen and been taught is that the black male body, which has been more distorted, contorted, abused, and violated than the black female body. Not like there's a hierarchy to pain, but I want you to know that that's not talking about either. We don't talk about how black men have been turned into sexual objects by white supremacy generationally. We don't talk about that because that one doesn't go with the narrative of him being that would make him human. That would make him a beast that wants to rape white women. We don't talk about that. What I want you to understand is Black men have been being killed since they got here for trifling shit, basic stuff. So their relationship to each other is an ingestion of internalized racism and superiority that they were rooted in terms of masculinity. Okay? And I'm talking historical violence. I need y'all to get this point. Please stop blaming stuff on people's character. Oh, he's a bad man. That's white people stuff. Oh, he's weak, or he's that, or blah, 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 or she's whatever, right? That's character. You're not looking at structural dynamics. You're not looking at behaviors that are rooted in trauma for survival's sake. And if you say what white people have said, oh, well, if Tiger Woods can make it, if Denzel Washington can make it, blah, 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 that is not accurate. The people who have made it have had support structures that most people who are poor don't always get. So sometimes it's just class, all right? But what I want you to understand more than anything is this. Black men kill black men because, as far as they're concerned, there's no value that they have for themselves. Because that's what they've been taught. And because black men don't have the safe space to articulate and express how they feel, and it gets bottled up, it becomes depression. It becomes digested rage. It becomes a level of acquiescing that is just rooted in despair or anger. We got two modes here. We got anger or we got depression, some variation of that. So when it comes time for a black man, and I'm not saying all black men, so please miss me with all, but I'm not saying all anything right now. I'm laying out a theoretical framework to give you some solace in terms of contending with the violence among black men. There's a historical trauma that we don't hold as that. We hold it like a character flaw, and it's not. It's hard to say to God. If somebody doesn't have the tools to do a job, we don't blame them for that. If you are a mechanic and you need, I don't know what mechanics need, I don't know, carburetor or a screwdriver, what have you, and you don't get that, we don't say that you're a bad person. We say, oh, you don't have the tools. Let's get you the tools. Oh my God, let's get you some tools. If you are a cook and you don't have a stove, we don't call you a bad person. We don't villainize you because you don't have a stove. We either get you a stove or a crock pot or a little heat, whatever. We get the tools for it. And we don't relate to black men like they don't have tools. We relate to them like they're the enemy. And then they relate to each other like the enemy. And then they relate to themselves as the enemy. And then they take their own lives. Because when you're trapped in a despair, a hopelessness that you can't language for fear of ridicule, being attacked, being villainized, then what you do is you eat it. And sometimes you eat it with a gun in your mouth. Sometimes you eat it with sex. Sometimes you eat it with alcohol. Sometimes you eat it with food. Sometimes you eat it with anger. Sometimes you eat it by blaming black women and villainizing us. It's all an internal violence that gets acted out that's rooted in being disappeared as a person. When you are no longer a person, you no longer cultivate the capacity for empathy, for compassion, and you don't have any for yourself. And then we wonder why black men kill them. You know what I'm saying? Like, help me say this, pretty Jesus. Help me say it, pretty God. Help me say this, Yahweh. Help me say this, Joseph. So my point is this. Until we start to teach ourselves, black men in the world, that black men are human beings who are scared, who can be weak, who can be overwhelmed, who don't have any kind of visible social structure to work through their unspoken hurts and violations at the hands of their mothers, their fathers, other black men. Black men get sexually assaulted as much as black women do, but we never talk. 6 out of every black man has been sexually assaulted. 4 out of every what was it? Let me state my men, because I don't get my men and women mixed up. My point is, but who they're going to tell? It could have happened as a child. Who's going to hear it? And what if it was by a woman? What if a black male baby boy was assaulted or sexually molested or raped by a woman? Who is he going to tell? Because he's a man. And then we wonder why he hates women. I want y'all to, you need to start to contend with the stuff we don't talk about. They're not accidentally killing each other. They're not accidentally killing themselves. And it doesn't have to be that it was a violation of, it doesn't have to be a sex act. It could simply be that they don't have any place to cry. There's no safe space. And then we expect them to produce on top of it. We really do. My point is this. I'm not justifying bad behavior, so please miss me with that. I'm not justifying black men doing bad things. Please miss me on that. I am saying something that is fundamentally crucial to the continuation of us as a race. Until black men start to relate to themselves as people who have a right to be scared, to be nervous, to be overwhelmed, to not know the answer, to not be able to produce, who get tired, who feels like they are failing. And until we let them have that space or create a space where that can be, we can anticipate suicides and black on black murders. Okay, we can. And you don't have to fight me on this. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not having that kind of conversation. This is an inform. This is not a debate. I have no interest in you arguing my truth with your truth. Take it as a truth, not as fact. I've been doing my stuff for 30 years, but it's okay. I'm not tripping off that. You can go look at your own facts. I don't care. But what I need to actually get us to hear as a people, for those who have ears to hear, is that black men are suffering. And the suffering in silence. And if they don't get it out, it gets acted out on the body in some way, shape, or form. And you can kill yourself without killing yourself. You can kill yourself slowly with alcohol, but we accept that. You can kill yourself slowly with with edibles. You know what I'm saying? You can kill yourself slowly with working hard, or giving up, or not exercising, or sugar, or diabetes. All of those ways of those are all self-punishments. Do you understand that? That's a way of self-punishment. Does not have to look like cutting yourself. It doesn't have to. I need you to open your eyes to that. So I'm gonna pause to make, and I know I've done this as long. I'm fine with that. If you were fed by it, if you see some value in it, please share it. We don't talk about this. We just blame them. And again, I'm not talking about black men who are so wounded that they are ugly and vicious. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about black men like your father, your brother, your son, your uncle, that you know are good people. And they're not talking, but they're acting out. And instead of thinking of it as a character flaw, I'm inviting you to think of it as a historical wound. Okay? So that's all I have to say. So thank you for hearing me out. Okay? Thank you for hearing me out. I'm still processing Twitch's suicide and the death of a number of black men that I know. So I'm not positioning this as the truth. So please don't do that. It's too sensitive. But I thank you for those who stayed with me the whole time. And I would like to hear your thoughts, your wisdom on it, in the spirit of love and dignity. I don't want to hear any conspiracy theories. I don't want to hear, anything ugly, keep it for some other post. I have plenty of things, okay? But for this, if you can't bring it in the spirit of love, and if you can't empower what I'm saying, then don't post here. Go post somewhere else. I literally have other things you can post on. But this string, we're really contending with. We're thinking through. We're confronting the way black men are dehumanized, and how, because they're dehumanized, they take life, including their own. And dehumanized does not have to be big. It could simply be they can't tell the truth without being attacked. And as a black woman, I understand that. And I'm just very committed that we win as a people. But we can't win as a people if we don't confront the impact of historical trauma and oppression has on our relation to each other. We can't keep looking externally. We need to look internally. At least that's my take. I don't really care about white people, and I know I have a bunch of allies, and I love you. But I don't have any vested interest in them. I have a vested interest in you. I have a vested interest in us. I have a vested interest in our own emotional and economic freedom. That's my value system, okay? And where I speak from is a commitment to us winning and thriving. And that requires that we do the internal excavation such that we're not living at the effect of history, okay? I love you, sis. I love you, bro. I love you, allies. I don't know if anybody's, I hope this plays. I don't know if anybody commented or said anything or shared, but I'll look at the comments and see where we are. This is Dr. Venus. I love you. Please remember you are God wrapped in flesh. You are the Alpha and the Omega. You are the head and not the tail. You are the lender, not the borrower. You are the righteousness of God. End of story. And that's all. Please share this video.